So personal identity actually has remarkable implications in some of the big questions. One of them being the afterlife. So if personal identity is grounded on an exclusively material part of a brain, and then that part of the brain ceases to exist, or say the whole brain ceases to exist, then it does seem that the sort of consciousness that emerged from that kind of personality won't emerge again. Why? Because even if it gets recreated, there are sort of exclusive material properties that make it occur, even if they emerge again. It would be something like a clone. It won't necessarily be the same person. They may have similar properties, but it won't be the same person. It will be like a clone of me who might be in Paris right now. I'm not in Paris, and I don't experience what my clone experiences. So obviously I'm not my clone, and if I cease to exist, my consciousness, what I experience now, will not be what my clone experiences. So in that kind of sense, if personal identity is based on an exclusive material brain, and that part vanishes, then there is no afterlife. But if it's based on any material mind, and then let's say that mind remains even if the brain vanishes, and then it gets reconnected to a brain that's recreated, for example, in a Christian worldview, that's something that could happen, right? So God could raise people from the dead. He could recreate their bodies, attach them to the same mind, and then you have an afterlife of the same person. So there's a continuation of the same person. The same person remains in the afterlife, and that's an implication having to do with where personal identity is actually based on metaphysically, right? Beyond that, it also has implications on things like meaning. So God is personal, right? Includes three persons in Christianity, okay? Always existed, and there was always some kind of meaning based on that. Created the world with some kind of meaning in mind, and that gives some sort of meaning to the world. And then, when persons emerge, like humans or angels or whatever, more meaning also sort of emerged in a sort of atheistic worldview, where there is a world and possibly without persons, and that world is meaningless if meaning is a property of persons, right? So that's another implication of personal identity. It has to do with the existence of meaning. So there could be a meaningless world in which there emerges meaning based on persons emerging, or there could be a world that was always meaningful and maybe remains meaningful, if God remains to exist. Whatever, the standard theistic position is that God is eternal, so he always exists, and so on. So ultimately, by figuring out stuff about personal identity, both in terms of how much of it exists, right? So whether there is God who is a person or not, so what kind of persons exist, right? Not necessarily how much, but what kind of persons exist, but also in terms of figuring out what exactly grounds this personal identity. Let's say in things like humans or aliens or whatever, you can figure out actually some of the big questions, right? Life's big questions, having to do with philosophy and other stuff too.